to be except a mobile home. If you're in a mobile home, you need to get out and find a low-lying area to protect yourself against flying debris. If you are outside, again, get into a ditch. You need to get as low as possible to protect yourself from flying debris, because this storm does have a history of producing tornado damage. In addition, it has hail size up to 3/4 of an inch. You might have seen earlier, Eric got caught in the core of the storm where we were seeing hail coming down. And as a result, that can produce damage by itself, even without a tornado. So that alone would warrant getting inside of a building and staying away from windows. But the key thing is, again, the storm is moving southeast at around 25 miles per hour. At that rate of speed, again, it'll be on top of Morton within the next few minutes. It'll be making its way into Elmore around 8 or 6 p.m. Tyler around 8:11 p.m. So the storm again is moving southeast. If you're anywhere within this region right here, right on top of I-29, the storm is more or less moving on top of I-29, moving southeast. If you're in Dwight or in Morton, or if you're in Elmore or Tyler, you need to get into a safe space away from windows to protect yourself from flying debris. Again, the storm is likely on the ground, still producing damage thanks to our coverage by Eric, our storm chaser. So basically, we're keeping an eye on the storm right now. Again, it's producing damage as of now, and it's moving southeast at around 20 to 25 miles per hour, and it has a history of producing damage. So you need to, if you're anywhere in Richland County, especially near Morton, if you're in Morton, for example, you need to get into a shelter. You don't have much time because the storm is moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. When the storm of this size, that's actually pretty fast. You need to get into a shelter to protect yourself from flying debris. Elmore, again, it'll reach you around 8:06 p.m. Tyler, around 8:11 p.m. And Fairmount, it'll reach you around 8:24. Kemble, it'll reach you around 8:35 p.m. So the storm, just to give you some context, is moving southeast through Richland County, and it should make its way into the North Dakota-Minnesota border within the next half hour. So this is our, let me get my little pointer icon here so you can see a little better. Okay, so this is our storm right here, right? It's moving southeast through Richland County. It should make its way into the North Dakota-South Dakota border within the next half hour. We're also keeping an eye on another nacelle right here, the severe thunderstorm warning. There's a radar indicated warning in Norman County that will expire within the next 2 minutes. And instead, it's a severe storm warning. But I bring it up because although no other areas really had a reported tornado, we're still watching for portions of Lakes Country in case they start producing more severe storm warnings. Back to our storm in Richland County. Again, it's moving southeast at around 25 miles per hour. It has a history of producing damage. I got a report that another tornado is forming just to the north of Barney. So let's see, where is Barney? Again, it's close to Morton. So Eric, so I just got reports that Eric is ready to go, so I'm going to send things over to Eric so he can explain more.
Joseph, I am located just to the north and east of Barney. A new tornado is forming near that area, just to about 2 miles to the north and east of Barney. There's a new tornado that is starting to form. We've got a funnel cloud at this time, and I cannot tell if it is in contact with the ground. However, it is about halfway to the ground at this time. So a new funnel cloud just to the north of Barney, and it's about halfway to the ground. I cannot tell if it's on the ground, but if I'm in Barney, Morton, Mantador, anywhere in between, I'm taking my tornado precautions. I'm going to try and get a shot for you here, Joseph. Give me about 60 seconds, and I'm going to get turned into a position to where you can see this new funnel cloud starting to form.
Right.
And it's not one of our typical funnel clouds where it looks like a little needle. The entire wall cloud is rotating.
So it's a big storm is what you're saying.
Starting to condensate all the way to the ground. Absolutely, it's a big storm. It's a strong storm, and when we start seeing some of these stronger storms, we've got really strong what we call inflow into this storm. And inflow is energy that helps to power these storms. Basically, think of it as a fuel line. And we have some very strong fuel lines or inflow going into this storm. And so that is something that we're going to have to continue to watch to see if this strong winds from the south continues to help feed and power this severe tornadic thunderstorm. Wall cloud is right in front of me. Off to the right is where that wall cloud is. And it's got like a couple of needle little things underneath it, and that's the part that's rotating. That's where that new tornado is going to form. I'm at the corner of 78th Street Southeast and 165th Avenue Southeast in Richland County. So that's about 4 miles west of Morton, about 3 miles east-northeast of Barney. So if I'm in Barney, we're going to the basement at this time. But yeah, the funnel, there's 2 action areas. There's one that's right in front of me, and that funnel is about halfway to the ground, the one that's dead center right in front of me there.
Okay, so to recap, you're in between Barney and Morton, and basically it's trying to produce a funnel cloud. Am I correct?
It is producing a funnel cloud at this time.
Okay.
And it's trying to produce a tornado. We've got strong rotation on this storm, and we've got a lot of inflow, which is energy, going into this storm. Okay. And I'm actually going to have to move again here. This storm is picking up speed, Joseph.
Yes.
And so what that means is if it starts to pick up speed, then that usually and it's doing what we call a right turn. So we've noticed this storm used to be going directly east. Now it's starting to go to the south. That means this storm is most likely going to gather strength. That's usually what this means, is that it's gathering strength. And it would not surprise me to see a new tornado form here in the next minute or two.
Okay.
Back to you.
All right, so you heard him. He's basically in between Barney and Morton, and where I put my little triangle, that's our storm track right here, that's kind of where the funnel is trying to form, and basically that is starting to move southeast, and again, officially it's moving at 25 miles per hour, but it could speed up, as Eric warned, so we're going to be keeping an eye on the storm as it moves southeast. But again, if you're in Morton, you don't have much time. You don't really have much time before the tornado is on top of you. So you need to make sure, well, again, it's not producing any tornadoes yet, but it's producing a funnel cloud like he mentioned. And so if you're in the storm, you don't really have much time before it moves on top of you. So let me get my little pointer here. This is where Eric is, more or less. And again, that's where our storm is trying to form a tornado. It's forming a funnel cloud, and it's trying to form a tornado, and it's moving southeast at 20 miles per hour. So at the rate of speed it's going, you don't have much time before it moves on top of you. So let me shift the little triangle again so that the little time icons will pop up. Morton, you have only a couple minutes before the storm moves on top of you. You need to be into a basement yesterday, basically. You need to be in the basement now, or in an interior closet or a bathroom away from windows, because this storm is moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. At the rate of speed it's going, it'll reach Fairview Junction around 7:55 p.m. It'll reach Great View around 8:11 p.m. Assuming that the storm remained stable, it'll reach Great Bend around 8:10 p.m. Elmore around 8:21 p.m. and Fairmount around 8:35 p.m. So the storm is moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. It has a history of producing tornadoes and a history of producing damage as a result of those tornadoes, and it's trying to form a tornado now. Currently, we're just dealing with a funnel cloud, but it's trying to form a tornado, so we are keeping an eye on this cell. But basically, again, it's moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. In addition to that, it's dealing with hail size of about 3/4 of an inch. Hail by itself can cause damage. In fact, it's one of the leading contributors to damage in the United States. So You need to stay away from windows because you don't want to deal with flying glass just from hail hitting the side of your house, and especially because, again, this cell right here has a history of producing tornadoes. So let's take a closer look at the storm itself. So this is, so again, where Eric is at, I'm pointing the little icon right here. This is our little pointer showing more or less where the storm that's trying to form a funnel cloud is at. It's moving southeast at around 20 to 25 miles per hour. So if you are in the path of the storm, if you're in Morton, you need to get into a shelter to protect yourself from the storm. Even if you're not in the path of the funnel cloud per se, Dwight, for example, is seeing some heavy downpours with the system too. So there's a lot of heavy rain embedded in it. That's what the orange and red colors represent. There's a lot of rain embedded in the system. So on top of producing tornadoes, it's also capable of downpours and it's capable of hail. So actually, let's take a look at our hail tracker to see what I'm talking about regarding that. So basically, again, it's capable of large hail. So this is, I'm going to pause right here, and where the storm is on top of in Morton right now, it has a history of producing large hail. For instance, this is radar indicated hail size. So in reality, it may be overestimating how large the hail size is. But look at that, hail size up to 1.3 inches. That's pretty large. That can cause damage. So just the hail alone could be significant. But on top of that, it's producing a tornado. So it's producing a tornado that has a history of producing damage. It's a tornado warning because it has a history of producing tornadoes, and it's capable of producing another one within a short while. So it's moving southeast at around 20 to 25 miles per hour. So if you're in the path of the storm, you need to get into shelter. If you're in central Richland County, if you're in central Richland County, you need to get into a safe space, especially with the storm moving southeast at 25 miles per hour, which in context with a tornado, 25 miles per hour is way too fast. So again, we're tracking the storm as we head into the evening hours. So why are we seeing these storms popping up, including the tornado warning in Richland County? Well, what Richland County is, there's Richland County. Look at that pink. That represents Kate values of over 4,000 joules it represents a huge amount of energy, basically. There's a lot of instability with a portion of the southern Red River Valley seeing that huge amount of instability. That's where our storm is, right? That's where our tornado is. And there's a huge amount of instability for the storm to draw energy from, and that's why it's producing that rotation. That's why we're seeing that tornado damage in Richland County. So we're going to be watching the storm as we head into the evening hours. It won't last forever, though, because what's going to happen is that we head into the evening hours, that energy will go away, daytime heating will go away, so the energy needed for the storm will eventually dissipate too. So by around 10 p.m., we don't have as much instability as we did compared to earlier today. And by midnight, we're basically done with severe weather potential. We'll only be in the greens and yellows, indicating instability of maybe about 1,000 joules at most, which compared to earlier today is not as much. But again, we're still well into the reds, into the dark reds and purples for Richland County, which means this cell right here that's producing tornado damage, that at least has a history of producing tornado damage and produced a tornado just a few minutes ago and is currently in the stage of forming a funnel cloud that has yet to produce a tornado. It's moving southeast right into a zone with lots of instability. That's why the storm that's why it's producing this kind of damage. And as it continues moving southeast at 20 to 25 miles per hour, it continue interacting in this unstable environment. So we're going to be keeping an eye on it, but basically that's what's going on. It has a history of producing damage, and it's moving into an environment with a lot of instability. And as that continues moving southeast through an environment with a lot of instability, it's going to continue to grow in the process. So we're going to be keeping an eye on the storm as we head into the next hour or so. Again, the warning lasts until 8:15 p.m. And the reason it's lasting until 8:15 p.m. is not only does it have a history of producing tornadoes, it's currently in the stage where it's forming a funnel cloud that's trying to produce a tornado in the process. A lot of rotation with this system. In fact, let's take a look at the rotation within the system. So this is the storm right here. I got my little pointer icon here. You can see this rotation. This is what we call a velocity coupling. Velocity coupling implies you get your greens towards a radar station, reds away from a radar station, and you can see this velocity coupling here, which indicates tight rotation, which indicates it trying to form a tornado. That's why we're seeing that's what's going on. It's moving into an environment where there's some rotation, and it's also moving into an environment where there's a lot of instability, which is why it has a history of producing tornadoes and why it is currently in the stage of forming a funnel cloud that is trying to produce a tornado. This was reported to us by Eric about an hour. We first started getting reports that it was producing tornadoes by Eric about half an hour to an hour ago. And again, he's still watching the storm carefully throughout the next half hour as it continues moving southeast at 20 to 25 miles per hour. So let's take a look. Again, Morton, it should already be on top of you now, looking at our radar. So Morton, you need to be in a shelter. You need to make sure that you're protected from the storm. Make sure that you're in a basement or an interior closet to protect yourself from flying debris. Storm is moving southeast at around 25 miles per hour. And at that rate of speed, it will reach Fairview Junction around 8 p.m., Great Bend around 8:17 p.m., 8:31 p.m., it'll reach the city of Tyler. 8:42, it'll reach Fairmount, and it should be in Campbell by 8:55 p.m. So in short, it should make its way into the North Dakota, South Dakota border within the next half hour to an hour. So just because you're in Minnesota, just because you're at the North Dakota Minnesota border doesn't mean that you're necessarily safe from the storm, because the storm could maintain its intensity all the way until it reaches. Basically, we're currently under a tornado warning for Richland County until 8:15 p.m. and it's making its way southeast. I'm being told to wrap up. So in short, if you're in I'm sorry, I'm not being told to wrap up. I apologize. But anyways, the tornado is moving southeast at around 25 miles per hour. It's making its way through Richland County. It's in central Richland County tonight, and it's moving southeast at around 25 miles per hour. And at that rate of speed, should make its way into Fairview Junction around 8 p.m. Great Bend around 8:17 p.m., 8:31 p.m., making its way into Tyler, 8:42 Fairmount, and Campbell, it should be on top of you around 8:55 p.m., assuming that the storm is able to stay stable by that period of time. So within the next half hour, it should be crossing the Red River, making its way into Minnesota. So basically this storm is a pretty decent storm, and it's a fast moving storm too at 25 miles per hour. So if you're in the path of the storm, you need to get into a shelter. You need to make sure to protect yourself on all sides. Make sure to get into an interior house, an interior closet or a bathroom. You need to get into a basement. If you have a basement, definitely avoid windows or garages, because that is where flying debris can get into your building. If you are outside, you need to get into a ditch or in a low-lying spot, because you want to protect yourself from flying debris. Don't get under bridges, as bridges will expose you to flying debris and high winds, and you'll also block any emergency management vehicles that are trying to get help to people. So the point is, portions of central Richland County are under a tornado warning. Cities of Dwight and Morton are vulnerable. This warning will last until 8:15 p.m. So you'll likely see me staying on until 8:15 p.m. So you're going to be dealing with me for a little bit. But the point is, it's moving southeast at 25 miles per hour, and it will reach Fairview Junction. It should already be on top of Fairview Junction now. Great Bend, it'll reach you around 8:17 p.m. 8:31, it'll reach you Tyler, Fairmount, 8:42 p.m. and 8:55 p.m. it'll be on top of Campbell. So it's a pretty strong storm, and it's fast moving too, could cause some real issues. So we're going to be keeping a track this storm as we head throughout the next 15 to 30 minutes at least while the warning is still on. I see that, so yeah, anyways, again, we're tracking the storm as we head throughout the next, as we head into the next 15 to 30 minutes. So here you go, Russ, what's up?
Thank you, Joseph. Just wanted to step on here, maybe give you a little bit of a break so we can go back there, maybe grab some water, and sorry about that. Yes, good job. I just want to, again, kind of give you that update. Joseph has been telling you everything here that you need to know. And again, what we're a little break, and I do want to step in and just let you know, again, Joseph's basically been filling you with everything. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning and also tornado warning in effect right now until 8:15, so about another 14 minutes or so. From that point, we will continue to see if it continues to progress forward as a tornado to the southeast. If that is the case, obviously a new tornado warning will be issued, and we will stick with you. Again, locations, and Joseph, again, been covering this. Just want to give that update, though. 817 Great Bend. This is when it's expected to hit your location. Again, at that time, will this still be a tornado on the ground? We'll keep an eye on that for you. Either way, what we're watching is very severe thunderstorm here producing this tornado. Cities, again, Moortown, Dwight as well. Hail size, not as much of an issue here, less than 3/4 of an inch. Tyler, again, 831, 842, and Fairmont, 855. For Campbell and Joseph now in the back here. Joseph, if you could pull up one more time kind of that velocity for what we've got within this storm. Just talked about this, how we've got the green, that's kind of the incoming. We've got some rotation. The red is outflow from this storm. We've kind of got this area right here in the middle. We're focusing, watching where that tornado is located. Joseph, thank you so much for moving this radar around so we can check on this. Moortown right now kind of in the line of fire on top of you at this point. This is moving to the southeast at about 25 miles per hour. Joseph, we can go back to the radar and also just pull back a little bit. There we go right here. So you can see a couple of things going on. We do have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. Want to tell you about those as well. This does include Fargo, however, also of course Moorhead. This is pushing off to the south-southeast. This is until 9 p.m. And again, radar indicated tornado possible as well. That is the threat with this severe thunderstorm. So what has happened over the last hour and a half. We've got a lot of instability. We've been talking about the heat all week long, right? Now we've got a lot of humidity introducing it. We get these storms lined up. You get that rotation, and we took a look at this again a few minutes ago. We'll try to jump back to it, but it's entering an environment, these storms, where we have that likelihood. Atmospheric energy. Again, thank you, Joseph. He is back there switching these graphics around so we can take a look. You start looking at these areas that are shaded in the red, deeper red, and even purple. Those are the areas that are most ripe to see development with any storms in terms of developing to strong storms, developing those thunderstorm warnings, and potentially those tornado warnings as well. And you can see it right here, Fargo. We've got the area green, also indicating, so you can see the difference there, what we've got, the energy that is in place for these storms as they move into the region and into your region, depending on where you are located. If we could jump back into where that tornado warning is right now, and again, currently tornado warning is in place for the next 12 minutes or so. You can see its location compared to the rest of the region. Richland County, Norman County as well in the line of fire. You see Breckenridge, Wahpeton. If you are in these locations, that tornado heading your direction at this point. Moving again off to the southeast about 25 miles per hour, but you're kind of in that area, kind of in that line of fire. So again, find that place indoors, find somewhere safe. Interior walls. Don't want to be near windows. You want to go somewhere if you can find an area downstairs, just away from windows as much as possible. Finding yourself the best spot in the interior of your home to be. Get yourself locked in, locked down, and we're going to kind of ride this thing out here over the next 15, 20, 30 minutes, maybe longer, depending on whether this tornado continues, this warning as it continues to push off to the southeast. If this tornado actually stays together and holds together. Again, wind damage. This, by the way, and I want to mention this because there is a difference. We have these tornado warnings. There's observed and there's radar indicated. Oftentimes radar indicated, we're not necessarily sure that a tornado has made it to the ground, but when you get these observed tornadoes, and we've actually had a few photos, including a great one that came in just a little bit ago by our storm chaser Eric Whitehill, you can see very clearly that tornado is on the ground. Counties, as mentioned, Richland, then heading over to Norman County as well. We showed you those areas, the direction it is heading. I mentioned earlier, Breckenridge, Wappington, we've seen that tornado close to those areas. Actually got a couple photos a few minutes ago in the Wappington area where you could see that tornado off in the distance, but the overall movement of this storm is heading off toward the south and the east at about 25 miles per hour. Hail, yes, it is an issue, but again, it's those winds. Of course, it's that tornado itself as it's rolling through. So now we look at where is this tornado heading? 825 Tyler. Now again, this tornado actually is set to expire at 8:15. We're going to keep an eye on that. Again, it could be continued by the National Weather Service. Obviously keeping eyes on this tornado, keeping eyes on this storm. Is it going to weaken? Is it going to remain strong? We get to Fairmont, 837. You're also in the line of fire with this tornado, with this storm system. Childs, 841, Campbell, 850, 9 o'clock for White Rock. So we've got 9 minutes left in this warning as it currently stands right now with this tornado. Again, we'll get an update here from the National Weather Service within the next few minutes. Are they going to extend that warning off to the east and south, or will it expire as these storms weaken? Even if we lose that tornado warning, so in other words, tornado not in place, this is still a system that is liable to continue to produce tornadoes. So obviously something we're going to keep an eye on, even if this warning does expire. Obviously, in the next hour, 2 hours, as we watch this system as it continues to push to the south and the east, we're still looking at that potential. So if you're in these locations, even if the tornado warning has expired, obviously looking at a very strong thunderstorm, one that is producing very strong winds, hail. So with that in mind, if you're in these locations you see here on the board, or even surrounding areas, even if your area is not mentioned, but you are close to these locations, I want to go ahead, take cover. These severe thunderstorms are very strong. By the way, we look at White Rock, I should say, and we're expecting about 9 o'clock that time period when this storm will hit your location. Southeast, 25 miles per hour. Eric, I'm going to, excuse me, I apologize, Joseph, I'm going to ask you here, Joseph Williams, meteorologist, right off here to the side. Any extension to that tornado warning at this point, or are we still looking at 8:15 for the period where this is going to expire? He's checking that out right now. It does look like at this time.
It looks like there's a tornado warning for Clay County in northwestern Minnesota.
Tornado warning,
8:45 p.m.
Clay County. Could we pop up to that storm, Joseph? So this is new. We're going to take a look here. This is a radar indicated tornado, not actually observed, radar indicated. Cities, Glendon, Holly. If you're in these locations, you're going to go ahead right now and take cover. This has just been issued by the National Weather Service. This tornado warning, again, Glendon, Holly. This system is moving also to the southeast. Joseph, what are we looking at in terms of speed of this storm?
It is moving at up to 20 miles per hour.
Moving at 20 miles per hour. This is a relatively slow mover. So should we see a tornado, it's not making a ton of progress. Again, moving off to the southeast about 20 miles per hour. You can see the strength of the storm here. You see kind of that pop that you'll see every once in a while, where indicating, again, this is a strong storm. This is one that's potentially producing, again, radar indicated, not observed, but what we're talking about is a very strong severe thunderstorm with that potential of getting a tornado. So again, Glendon, Holly, check out the hail, 1.5 inches. Get inside if you can, if you're outdoors for sure. That's hail that's damaging. Obviously, if it hits you, it's going to hurt. It could be, again, one of those things, if you're outdoors, where you're going to be hit and hurt by hail this size. Obviously, you're going to see damage to cars, vehicles, siding of homes. In addition to that, very strong winds. This is in Clay County, Glendon and Holly, two of the towns that are going to be impacted by the storm. Taking a look at the velocity again, we're getting some of that rotation. Joseph, if we could actually pop the radar back up once again and give us that cone one more time for the system that is now in Cass County, moving off to the southeast at about 20 miles per hour. So we've got the storm. Still, the tornado warning that's in effect for Richmond and Norman, still expected to expire at 8:15, so you have about another 5 minutes. So again, we're pushing up northward to this system, which is 8:45. This tornado warning is in effect. And you can see as we kind of move down, look at some of the locations. Joseph, if we pop up some of those towns that may also be impacted, if we put this at about southeast at about 20 miles per hour or so, sometimes we'll get a little box up here that could pop up, give locations. But I can tell you, if you're watching this right now, you know where you're at. There we go. Muskota. Thank you so much, Joseph. 8:22. This is about the time that it is going to hit your area. Rolag at about 8:58, so it's a little ways out here. But again, you can see the strength of the storm. We start seeing these reds, these deep reds, the purple. That is where we are seeing the strongest activity within this thunderstorm. And again, with that potential, that radar indicated tornado warning, which is in effect until 8:45 this evening in Glendon. Holly, you are in these areas. You want to go ahead and take cover if you're outdoors. Obviously, you want to get indoors. If you are in a home, you want to seek shelter. You want to find that spot where you're away from windows. You're in a spot where it's secure as you can possibly be, whether it's a basement, whether it's a closet, whether it's a bathroom, somewhere where you can't be impacted should obviously windows, something happen, there's breaking. And again, if you're outdoors, you want to find that spot indoors. If you're out driving around, you see a tornado, just find a safe spot to park. If you can't find somewhere indoors, find a safe place to park. If you feel like it is very close to you, find a low spot if you can, if you just happen to be outdoors, whether that's a ditch, just a low spot where you can kind of protect yourself as best as possible. Again, take one more look here. Joseph kind of working this around. We see the locations. Now we're looking at cities, also Dilworth. So if you're Glendon, Dilworth, Holly, these are spots where you want to go ahead and take cover because we do have that tornado warning in place, that radar indicated, not one observed. However, radar indicated means that obviously that potential is there. Radar is picking up on something. Radar is picking up on that rotation. Hail size, again, big. 1.5 inches in diameter. That is big hail right there. So again, want to be careful, want to get indoors. Again, we're going to add on those communities, Muskota and Rolag as well. Joseph, I hate to keep pushing you around here with these spots, but doing a great job. Let's take you back down. The tornado warning that is off to the south, the one that's in Richland, the one that is Norman as well. Some good news here, at least to the eye. It looks like this storm has weakened somewhat. Why do I say that? Up in Cass County, we've got a lot of those deep red colors indicating strength. Right now, watching this, and it looks like there's been some weakening. The other thing we've noticed is that there has not been an extension yet of this tornado. That's good news, the tornado warning, I should say. That's good news. Why? Because typically by this time, we would see extension if we thought it was going to push farther off to the south and east and continue with that strength. Now, ultimately, the National Weather Service, they're going to let us know whether it's going to be extended or not. But the fact that it hasn't been at this point, and we have less than 2 minutes left before this tornado warning expires.
So,
yes,
it looks
Joseph.
like they will let the Richland County warning expire.
Okay, good news. Joseph just said they are going to let the Richland County tornado warning expire. So great news there.
But you cannot rule out small hail or gusty winds with it.
Right. Small hail, gusty winds, even when that tornado warning expires. With these storms moving off to the south and east, if you're in these locations or ahead of these locations, because again, the storm is moving south and east, so if you are a little bit farther south and east from where this tornado is located, we're still going to see strong winds. We are still going to see hail 3/4 of an inch. So you still want to take cover. The reason I say this is this: even though we're going to let the tornado warning expire here in about a minute, that potential is there. This is a storm that has produced tornadoes, and I mean observed tornadoes. Again, we've had some great footage out there of these tornadoes in several spots, so people actually visible on the ground, weather spotters getting these pictures in. Even if we don't see that warning extend right now, certainly with a storm that has produced tornadoes, we could see a little movement to the south and east, could continue to hit areas where the storms could strengthen, and then we're looking at potentially another tornado warning. So again, keeping an eye on this. Where are the locations where this storm is headed? Tyler 839, Oswald at about 844. You can see the list of the other locations as well. White Rock 913, Tenney at 904. And the reason I bring this up, if you are in these areas, and we can just see that box just disappeared. It's 8:15. That's great news. That tornado warning has expired. But if you're in these locations, be on the lookout. Again, where these storms are headed right now, they're still heading into spots where that potential is there. Again, there's a lot of heat, a lot of humidity to play with still, a rotation out there where these storms are heading. So again, the potential is we could see another tornado warning develop, even if we don't. You're in these towns right here, or close, or nearby. Go ahead, you see the storm coming, find a place indoors just in case, because we're talking about strong storms even without that potential for a tornado. So with that in mind, we're going to cut back up to the severe, or I should say to the tornado warning. And you can see severe thunderstorm warnings as well. So how do we tell the difference here? We've got this purple box right here. That is where we have the tornado warning in place. You've got the red. That does include Georgetown, Fargo as well. And another one off to the east, White Earth. We're looking at a severe thunderstorm warning there as well. So that's how we're kind of letting you know where these storms are located and just letting you see if you're in these locations. If you are in White Earth, you know it right now. You're getting hit with the lightning, with the storms. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, which means thunderstorms still very strong even without a tornado in place. Basically, you're looking here wherever you see the red on the map. That is where the storms are the strongest at this point. Again, Joseph doing a great job letting us know, hey, these are the directions it's heading. Again, if you're in Holly right now, that tornado, or the radar indicated tornado, severe thunderstorm just off to your north and east. It is north and west, I should say, moving southeast in your direction. Glendon as well. We're looking at the potential of a tornado hitting your town. Dilworth, one of the other towns mentioned here, that is in the line of fire. Then we kind of move it a little bit farther to the south. Should this tornado warning continue? Right now, it's until 8:45. We've got Horace at 8:32. Again, that's probably not going to hit your area. This is a pretty wide, extended area here of coverage. What we're really focusing on is, again, Holly spreading off to the west. But again, right now the expectation is, Horace, you're not going to get hit with this. And of course, it's listed. Detroit Lake's listed as well. At this point, you are in line to get that severe thunderstorm warning, which is in effect. The tornado warning at this point kind of confined to an area that's a little smaller. So if you're in Detroit Lakes, at least at this time, your concern, yes, it looks like a little bit later on here, we're talking about 8:51 or so. So between about 8:50, 8:45, 8:55, 9 o'clock, a good opportunity for you to see a severe thunderstorm. At this point, we do not have a tornado heading your direction. Again, with this extension right here that we have in place, what's included outside of the tornado area, that's where we're expected to see the potential for severe thunderstorms. So again, watching this purple box right here, that is the area where we have that radar indicated tornado moving toward the south and east toward your direction. When I say your direction, again, we're talking about Glendon, we're talking about Holly, all those areas like Barnesville here. You're not in that cone yet. Should this tornado warning extend, you are going to be in one of those locations. This is likely going to be in line of fire. Right now, we're going to wrap things up. We'll let you know what's going on. Come back in just a little bit, kind of give you an idea of what you're expecting. But again, just want to let you know, Holly, Glendon, right now, tornado warning in place. Take cover. This is until 8:45 this evening. Again, stay careful out there, and we'll be back with any updates as soon as we get them.
For continuous weather, the free Valley News Live weather app.